Greetings, Mr. James. Throughout civilization, speakers, with their speeches, have shaped the views of people and their surroundings. Today, we'll be looking at the words of Winston Churchill during World War II and analyze to what extent does he use persuasive language and the strength of the message to persuade others. Now, without further ado, Mr. Winston Churchill will take the floor as he addresses the House of Commons in 1940 England.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender, and if, which I do not for a moment believe, this island or a large part of it was subjugated and starving, then our empire beyond the seas, armed and guarded by the British fleet, would carry on the struggle until, in God's good time, the new world, with all its power and might, steps forth to the rescue and the liberation of the old.
There are many facts used in his speech to persuade the British people into fighting against the Nazi regime. This speech was taken from this book, and its context was after the evacuation of 338,000 Allied troops who were pinned against the English Channel, in which 30,000 have already died. On the last day of the evacuation of Dunkirk, Winston Churchill needed to announce the threat of the Nazi regime and how more countries must join in the fight. When addressing the House of Commons, he gave concrete facts about what the nation must do. He explained the danger of countries falling under the rule of the Nazi regime and how Britain could be next if it does not take a stand. Winston Churchill also takes into account the war in Dunkirk, the war on many other fronts, and the wars that must take place in order to win the battle. He used phrases like fight in France, defend our island, fight on the beaches, and refers to the power of the British fleet. The reality of war and bloodshed may be hard to hear, but without the use of euphemism, Winston Churchill clearly addresses facts about the reality of war in order to persuade the audience to take arms. Winston Churchill continues to blend his facts with persuasive, determined language that motivates his comrades to take arms. In his speech, he intentionally used repetition with the words "we shall" to bring his army under a uniting force. The words "we shall" is then combined with inspirational words to create a strong phrase, such as "we shall not flag or fail," and "we shall go on to the end." By addressing this struggle, he concludes his speech as an obligation for his allies to step forward to the rescue and liberate the old world. Therefore, in the context of war, the facts speaks for themselves, and with a spice of persuasive words, Churchill was on his way to victory. In times of war, there is a balance of facts pertaining to his speech and the use of words to persuade his audience. In Churchill's speech, we see the importance of honesty, not just in times of war, but in all times when there is a necessity. Honesty becomes a strong weapon of persuasion in the hearts of people. Thank you for your time.